To ban or not to ban? Fireworks light up the skies every single November, but should they be limited to organised displays only? We're also discussing what on earth is going on with the UK prison system, a massive drug-related story making international headlines, and a few local tales you won't want to miss. Welcome to True Crime Catch-Up. I'm Stuart Blues from British Murders. With me is Adam Lloyd from UK True Crime.
Hey Stuart, hello everyone.
And every week we'll be diving into what's happening in the world of true crime, from the biggest headlines to the strangest stories you might have missed. Make sure you follow the show wherever you're listening or watching, subscribe on YouTube, and if you enjoy what we're doing, leave us a quick rating or review. It really helps people find us, and it's a zero-cost way, the best kind of way, to support this brand new podcast. Let's get into it.
So Stuart, it's been fireworks night this last week, and as always, there's been a debate. But I think this year the debate about fireworks has been stronger than ever. I've read it on all my media, all over my social media. It dominates. So one stood out for me in particular. I wonder if you saw this story. The Pets Corner tycoon, I love that word, Dean Richmond. He was blasted by furious neighbours. He had a massive fireworks display at his £4 million estate, but left a horse so badly shocked by the fireworks, the horse had to be put down. And there are plenty of other stories like this, aren't there? What are your thoughts?
Horrible one, this. And I've seen a video of said horse running around its little stable, absolutely petrified on this night. The long and short of it is, and I know we've got many animal lovers that like our respective shows, so brace yourself, I guess. This horse was so petrified by this 15-minute long display, which cost like £4 million. I mean, talk about having money to burn. It bolted, and in the midst of that, broke its leg. We all know what happens. A horse, it needs to run, it needs to gallop. A broken leg on a horse is essentially, sadly, a death sentence. So it's awful. It's whether you love or hate fireworks, right? When that happens, we don't all have a horse. I certainly don't. I don't know about you, Adam. You probably do.
I don't have a horse, but I have 2 dogs. I have 5 cats, and I just feel so much for all the animals. I feel for the birds in the sky. I feel for the insects. I feel for the horses. I feel for all of these animals that are petrified. They must be thinking, what the hell is going on, right?
I mean, first of all, didn't realise you were such a crazy cat man.
Crazy 5 cats. Yeah,
crazy
5
cat
cats.
lad. Love that.
That's me.
But the other thing as well, and this is something I raised in our Facebook group for True Crime Catch-Up. If you want to join, head to Facebook and join True Crime Catch-Up. In the group, I posed a question about this earlier because I know it's quite divisive, the whole firework thing. I think it's weird that we celebrate someone trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament 400 years ago, and we still celebrate that. I find that strange, but that's Britain for you. So I just said in the Facebook group, we need your opinions. We're recording this episode. We're talking about fireworks. What are your thoughts about them? The most common one that came up was to do with save them for organised firework displays only. So personal use, private use, community use, I suppose, is something that people are saying perhaps shouldn't be allowed. There's the noise, of course. I also have pets. I have 3 dogs. To be honest, they're not really bothered by fireworks. I don't know if that's rare, but I know a lot of people have animals that are affected by them. But the other thing, if we take it back to humans, you've got to think, what about people with PTSD? What about, we're recording this on Armistice Day. What about our veterans who may have PTSD? What about older people suffering with dementia who don't know what's going on? These are things that we perhaps neglect to take into consideration.
Very much so. And then in addition to that, of course, there's always antisocial behaviour, isn't there? So this year we saw it. I think we saw more than 20 people arrested in Birmingham, for example. Then we saw people firing fireworks at shops, people, a police van. I mean, who do you blame? Do you blame the shopkeepers for selling the fireworks? Is it the parents? Or is it just the youngsters having fun, Stuart? I don't know. Do you?
I just don't see how firing fireworks at other people, buildings, police, the establishment, anything other than in the sky is enjoyable, fun. I don't get that. We found other ways to have fun as a kid. I'm sure you did. The
Mm.
story that really hurt me was the 4-year-old in Burnley who
Yeah.
got caught up in these idiot teenagers, 100 plus of them, firing these rockets at each other. This poor 4-year-old girl remains in hospital, as far as I'm aware, in fighting for her life in hospital. Imagine that. You go out, you want to see some fireworks, you take your kid to the park or down the street, whatever you've got, and they get caught in the crossfire of something that is so preventable. That's what really gets me. If this was at an organised bonfire, something went wrong, it was a disaster, something that you wouldn't often see, I can fathom that. But when it's just idiot teenagers, they've arrested a 15-year-old, by the way. That's the age I'm talking about. I don't mean 18, 19. I'm talking a 15-year-old kid. A lad has been arrested for this. Touch wood, the girl is fine. Worst case scenario, something critical happens. It's not only her life ruined, it's her parents' life, her family and friends' lives. Think of the people she may go to nursery or school with, but what about the 15-year-old as well? Life ruined.
Yeah, but we see it every year. Every year there's people get injured. And it's often, as you say, I remember going to one when I was about 12. The dad was doing it in the back garden. He must have had about 9 or 10 beers beforehand. He was swaying a bit as he was walking. And this rocket, this huge thing he bought, must have missed him by about this much. Another one aimed towards the house, I think hit an upstairs window. And this must go on up and down the country, probably every country in the world, really, isn't it? My personal view, I don't get it. I didn't get it when I was younger. I don't get it now. I would just get rid of them altogether. But is that just me being an old git now, Stuart?
I don't know, because I'm a little bit younger than you, and I kind of feel the same.
Bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. We won't say how much. But I'm a little bit younger than you, and I'm kind of the same. I just, it's pretty to look at, but maybe when it's New Year, and, there's some countries, they'll do massive displays over landmarks like bridges or, Big Ben or something like that. Something that's controlled and that you can see, perhaps on television, so you don't have to leave the house. Even better. But should we be taking inspiration from other countries around the world who have put sort of bans on fireworks? Because this is a chemical reaction which leads to an explosion, right? Yes, it looks pretty. You could say, let's have silent fireworks. Well, that's great for the dogs and the people who may suffer with that. But the fact that it's something that explodes, it's basically a bomb, right? What about Australia? With the exceptions of the Northern Territory and Tasmania, public use of fireworks is banned in all states and territories. Germany, there's only certain types you can have. You're limited to days of the year. End of the year, 31st of December to 1st of January. That's an idea. And then you've got Northern Ireland. If a member of the public wants to buy or possess even the consumer level fireworks, they need a valid fireworks license. Do we need to bring that in? Should we make it, you can't drive a car without a license, in theory? Should you need a license for fire? Or is that going too far the other way?
I think, do you really want the state to be taking any more control of your life than it already does? That's the question, really, isn't it? I just don't, do you? I don't trust them to license it properly anyway, do you?
No, I don't know. We don't need that. But again, a few people in the Facebook groups who got Nikki here saying that with approval from the council, organised displays are fine. Whether it's New Year, it could be bonfire night, Eid, any religious celebration. Stuff like that. There'd be more displays. In theory, it would be cheaper for people to enter. More people could go. It could actually build a community if the only place you could see them was having a ticket to an event. I get that. I said I'd shout out the people. So I've got Natasha, Emma, Karen, Denise, Helen, Sarah, Neil, and Jane. I did say I'd shout them out. Wow. Thank you for everyone for contributing. And if you do contribute in the group, you never know, you might get mentioned on a future episode. I'm nice like that. Adam's not.
Absolutely. So I suppose in summary, fireworks, I suppose we don't like fireworks, but we've got doubts about, and we know crime happens around fireworks, and bad behaviour, but we've got doubts about whether they should be licensed or whether people should just use common sense, right?
I think a lot of the responsibility as well lies with the retailers,
Yeah.
because there's so many local shops that just are so lax with who they sell stuff to, whether it's alcohol, whether it's lighters,
Yeah.
vapes, anything, lottery tickets, I don't know. But, you want to buy a firework? Yeah, come in, I'll sell you a firework, young man. You'll be responsible, right? Yes, of course I will, shopkeep. Okay, there you go. There's a firework. And then what happens. It's avoidable. Again, if it's avoidable, let's steer it down the path of avoiding tragedy.
I don't think anything will happen, though, do you? I don't think there's enough of a clamour.
We'll be having this same conversation at New Year, the same conversation next November. It's a bit of a moot point, but it is something that people do want to see change. We could start with a lower decibel on the fireworks. That would help a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And on the subject of conversations, that we repeatedly have the same conversations again and again, Stuart, because we do, don't we?
We do.
So let's talk about prisons just for once, shall we? So prisons, as you know, they've been in the news so much recently. We all heard the reaction to Ian Watkins, the former lead singer of the Lost Prophets, who committed the most terrible crimes. Yep. He was attacked and murdered on, I think it was October the 11th, in HMP Wakefield, wasn't he? And the response was just astonishing, I think, Stuart, don't you? On my Facebook group and all my social media, everyone was almost celebrating that he'd actually been killed in prison. Was it the same for you?
It was, yeah. And I think people were getting conflicted with celebrating his death, which I can understand. But when you bring in while in prison, that opens up a whole can of worms for me, because as much as, he's one of the worst people ever, and, you get what you deserve kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you go to somewhere like that, the idea is that you're under some level of protection.
Yep.
There's guards. We could talk about understaffing issues all day, I'm sure, but there's something concerning about murders happening in prison, regardless of who the victim is, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely do. I think if we decide to put people into prison, we do have a duty of care to look after them while they're in there. And my other concern is this time it was a prisoner, but what if it's a member of staff next time as well? I mean, it suggests, doesn't it, that things aren't running right. And look, this isn't the only murder we've seen in prison recently, is it?
Not even a different prison either.
Yeah.
The exact same prison, the Monster Mansion, they call it, because it's an apt nickname for a prison. I don't know if all prisons get nicknames, but that one certainly earns its name of the Monster Mansion. So on November 5th, Kyle Bevan, who was serving a life sentence, he murdered his 2-year-old daughter, Lola James. Again, scumbag.
Yeah.
But he was killed in prison. Again. 3 men this time. Not 2. It was 2 for Ian Watkins. 3 men. All obviously serving prisoners, been arrested on suspicion of his murder. It's still in the very early stages, but it does make you question, because you see in films where, if it's a gangster film and they'll pay off the guard and they'll turn the back while you give someone a beating kind of thing, or worse. Do you think that goes on, or do you think it is a genuine mistake? Because it's 2 quite critical mistakes, and these are 2 particularly bad people that it's happened to. So there's no real reprimand, I suppose, coming for thinking, oh, well, it's only them that's died. Just wonder
that's an interesting point.
What's at the same place as well. There must be red flags being raised.
But I think that when you see the reports, when you read a report into a death in prison, does it actually, just thinking from memory here, I don't recall it actually detailing the actions of the guards at the time. And I suppose if they had turned their back, and we're not suggesting for a second they did, it wouldn't be an official report, would it?
It's quite difficult whenever you read about someone dying in prison. I think it's the Ministry of Defence, the spokesperson, all they normally say is that each death in prison is kind of investigated on its own merit, and we don't really comment further. So I think it makes sense to kind of keep that as an in-house investigation to prevent fear-mongering, to prevent gossip, like we are now.
But you say that. I think maybe in the 1970s, yes. But I think nowadays in the social media age, like when you hear someone has been killed in your local area, in your local Facebook group, I know that you'd be like me. What you're interested in is hearing the cause of death, aren't you?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
want to know what happened because we expect to know now, don't we? It's not all covered up. Well, arguably it's covered up even more, but in theory, it's not covered up anymore, is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, given the age of social media and everything's transparent,
Yeah.
until you get to the upper echelons of government and security, and then it becomes mysteriously blurred. Isn't that
Sure,
just the one?
I know that you told me beforehand that you like to tell another of your insightful anecdotes. So about Ian Watkins, Stuart, tell us your lost profits anecdote. It's a really good one.
Yeah, you've sold it there. Well
Yeah,
done.
go on.
So I'm a charity shop connoisseur. I frequent them as often as possible. I just like browsing. And one time I went into this charity shop. I can't remember which one it was. It's irrelevant. And I saw this really nice red guitar, electric guitar. Now, I don't play myself, but I do like music that's made using such an instrument. So I thought, oh, that's nice. So I meandered on over and I thought, oh, there's a few stickers on here. I wonder who this person was into. You know, sometimes with charity shops, a lot of the gifts are when people have passed and it's sort of surplus stock, for better use of a term. So I thought, who was this person? And then I spotted on the front of the guitar, covering about a third of the faceplate. That's probably the wrong term, but don't come at me if you're a guitar head. Was a Lost Profits sticker from, I assume, when the band Once Upon a Time was popular. So I did the right thing and I bought it. I'm joking. I went to the till and I told the dear behind the till, I said, you might want to get rid of that guitar or at least try remove a certain sticker. Bless her. She had no idea who Lost Profits were, who Ian Watkins was. So I had to explain to her what he was in the middle of a charity shop in broad daylight, leaning over, sort of being dead dodgy about it. Like, I look like the weirdo there. But they took it away and I told them how to get the sticker removed and fingers crossed they did. In my head, that's such a funny story. I think you absolutely killed it. So thanks,
Do you know what you made me think about? We've spoken in another episode, haven't we, how some serial killers are immortalized almost, and they're almost celebrated. Like we spoke about Bundy in particular. So Bundy killed all these people, but someone like Watkins or Jimmy Savile, you couldn't buy a Jimmy Savile or an Ian Watkins mug, could you, for one of these people that are really into serial killers? What's the distinction there? Is it the children angle?
I mean, I think it's a fair one. I say that it sort of diminishes what the other monsters did.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean, but there is a certain level of depravity when it comes to children. And I think even those who are, for whatever reason, obsessed with all things serial killers and murderers and buy the merch and all that, I think even they would be hard-pressed to buy something with one of those unsavoury characters on.
Yeah.
Imagine the response seeing that out in the public. And they might do it in secret, hopefully not, but
yeah,
out in public you get absolutely terrorised.
And rightly so. I think we've spoken about just how it makes no sense. Someone like Bundy was an absolute monster. If you don't know the details of what he did and you're interested, go and read about what he actually did. It's just beyond horrific. Absolutely beyond horrific.
It is horrific. What else is horrific, sticking with the prison theme, is, did you know that 91 prisoners have been released in error over the past 7 months?
So over the last week, was that?
It feels like it at times,
it does,
doesn't
it? Yeah.
So in a report just today, November 11th, that's been published by the Ministry of Justice, Justice Secretary David Lammy has admitted, this is the guy in charge of it all, has admitted there's a mountain to climb to fix our prisons. Over the past few weeks, you may have seen, if you watch the news, that some of these criminals have been released in error. There's a lot of turnover in these prisons. People are getting booked in, they're getting let out. I guess it's maybe easier than we would appreciate to make a mistake, but these aren't exactly, someone who's spray painted the back of a garage or something. You're talking Hadush Kabatu, jailed for a year. He was the guy who assaulted the 14-year-old girl and a woman down in Epping. So he was the cause for the whole hoo-ha down there. Released on October 24th, found and rearrested on October 26th. You've got Brahim Kadur Sharif. He was awaiting trial for burglary, had prior offences, prior convictions even for theft and indecent exposure. He was out for over a week. And when he got caught again on November 7th, he said, "It's not my fault." And I kind of get it. I get why he said that, do you?
I do. And we see these. And of course, your first reaction is say, this is awful. How the hell can this happen? But I can't help having a little bit of sympathy for those in the prison service. Because it's also high profile, isn't it? And it's so in the public eye when we know it's massively underfunded, understaffed. And I think, as I understand it, tell me if you know differently here, Stuart, isn't it all done manually, a series of manual checks rather than computer records?
I think it is. Now, in fairness, this is just my view, but as I said there's been 91 prisoners released in error between April 1st and October 31st. Before Hadush Kabatu was mistakenly released, how many were we told about? I'm going to go with 0.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder how much is actually being kept away from us, because it's only because of his profile and notoriety that we were then made aware that Brahim, someone awaiting trial for burglary, and a fraudster, William Smith, were also released. It seems like this happens often because they let them go, they're back within a couple of days. You don't have to put it in the mainstream media. I get that. But there is a turning point when you release someone that's been a cause for, civil war level of divisiveness within the country, especially down in Epping.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just go back to what I said before. How much confidence have I got that this is not going to happen again? I mean, I'd expect it to be at least the same. And, it's like to introduce a computer or digital records, like you or I might be able to do it in our companies we work for in a few days, but it just seems to take forever. I mean, look at the NHS. I think they still buy faxes. Can you believe people still buy faxes? 2025.
I've never used one in my life, thankfully.
Haven't you?
No. You clearly have.
Well, just when I very started work, faxes were still there. And there was still, I remember one guy, he was an older boy there, and his job before was a telex operator. So, was it Gary Vaynerchuk says? He said, tech never loses, doesn't he? Tech never loses, always wins. So whatever you specialise in, it always changes.
Yeah.
So it's not going to change here, is it, Shit?
It's not going to change. And the other thing that's not going to change is idiot young boys using knives or machetes to have a little play. My local story this week is pretty close to me, and I bring it up because I've got another funny anecdote about the area.
So when you say funny, Stuart?
Yeah, just ignore that. Just an anecdote. It's just a few words that I speak. But again, the escalation, we talk about it all the time till we're blue in the face. Machetes, though, is the next level. I know knives are bad, but a machete, I mean, come on, these lads, they were just messing about, having a bit of a fight. How genuine it was, I don't know, but a kid ended up being arrested. Again, I say a kid, he was like 15, 14, and he had a cut, so he had been cut to some degree. No one died or got further injured, but messing around like that with machetes, it just beggars belief. The funny stroke non-funny story is there's a lane that goes off the main road that this happened on, and it's one of them roads where from the bottom it looks a decent size, but as soon as you go up it narrows in, so if a car comes the other way, you're screwed. One of you has to bend over kind of thing and let the other one through. You know what I mean? So someone added a sign to this road and it said "stupid thin road," and it was a homemade sign. So you drive, I looked early today because I drove past it. It's not there anymore. So people keep taking it down. It kind of reminds me of the traffic cone thing up in Glasgow. The authorities take it down, someone else puts it back in. You must know about that one.
No, what's that one?
What, the traffic cone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you're being sarcastic.
No, I really don't know what they do with traffic codes. They're placing it on top of... What,
They place it on
buildings?
top of the. There's a statue in Glasgow, and
Oh.
I forget who it is. Forgive me, Scottish people listening. But yeah, there's just constantly a traffic cone on his head, and on the horse's head sometimes as well. It's a running
Love it.
joke up there.
And we spoke there briefly about knife crime shit, but this is something we're going to come back to because it's such a serious issue, isn't it? We're going to try and get an expert or two to talk to us their views as well, aren't
Yeah.
we?
Hopefully, yeah. There's a few people we have in mind we want to speak to. If anyone does have a suggestion, let us know. We're happy to take on board who you would like to hear from.
Because our view, whenever we talk about knife crime, we're just disgusted how it keeps on happening, and we just can't see a way out, can we?
Not at all. And it's to the point now where it doesn't even shock me anymore. It's as common as hearing that, someone walked down the street and tripped over a loose rock.
Yeah.
And another kid got stabbed. All right.
Yeah.
It's worrying levels of desensitization.
No, absolutely. And for my story today, I'm going back to Scotland. It's a story that we covered a few weeks ago on, you might have heard of it, Stuart. It was called, what was it called? True Crime Roundup. It's a great show, I heard.
I heard one of the hosts was all right, yeah.
So that was a precursor to this show now. But in this story, it feels like a long time ago. It was the middle of the summer. I mean, it's been pouring with rain all day today. But this took place at Loch Ness Bay campsite. You might remember it. An 8-year-old boy and his dad were at a campsite in separate tents, and the boy was assaulted by a stranger inside his tent just after midnight on the 31st of July. Remember this one, Stuart?
I do, yeah. Horrible story.
Yeah. It's just every parent's worst nightmare. The dad saw the man coming out. Well, on the plus side, a 44-year-old man was arrested a few weeks ago. His name was John Bell. But this man died in his cell on Saturday. And it really makes me wonder how the family feel when they don't see this justice being done. So we talk a lot, don't we, about justice delayed is justice denied. And we also hear a lot of talk about closure when someone is convicted for a serious offence, which I'm never too sure about. But there's a few points there for you to unpack, Stuart. How do you feel when someone suspected of a crime never faces justice, or how do the family feel? What are your thoughts?
It's a strange one. It instantly makes me think of Fred West, Harold Shipman, both of whom I believe took their own lives before ever facing criminal proceedings, and they were two of the most abhorrent people to ever grace the streets of England. I don't know if it only serves to increase their infamy.
Yeah.
Because you think, what could have been? It opens debate about what would the sentence have been when the focus should be on the crimes committed. I think it leaves a big hole. I mean, it would leave a hole in the hearts of anyone, even if they got sent to prison, but the hole must be even bigger.
Yeah, it's the basic. You must have your day in court, mustn't you? And see the person responsible facing the jury of the peers, being found guilty and being given their sentence. That's really the basis of the justice system, isn't it?
But what about, though, it annoys me when people who are clearly guilty plead not guilty to force the family through a trial and hear every last detail of what went on.
Yeah.
If they plead guilty and therefore skip the trial, they still get sentenced, of course. Would you see that as being sufficient, as having your day in court because they've admitted it? Or would you want them to be proven guilty by a jury of your peers? What do you think? It's hard to say, isn't it? But what do you think? It's the same outcome.
Yeah, but I think generally, if it was me, I'd want them to plead guilty, because how many cases have we covered where the family have to hear the horrible details and relive it all again, or even worse, when they're seeing videos or other just gruesome evidence? It's the last thing they want to go through again. But it interests me that we often hear this talk about closure. I remember I heard Colin Sutton talk once, the famous ex-detective, and he said to him, there's no such thing as closure. He said all people can do, they don't get closure, it helps them learn to live with what's happened maybe a little bit better. I wonder what you think about that.
Yeah, I was once told by someone who'd lost a close family member that there was an image and it was about grief.
Mm.
Grief and closure, let's sort of say they're kind of in the same arena. What people think happens with grief is that it shrinks. So imagine you've got a square and
Yeah.
there's, let's say, a £2 coin sized black hole in the middle of that white square, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's your grief. What people think happens is that, no, let's say it the other way. So there's a circle that fills the white square and then it shrinks down to a £2 is what I should have said, sorry. So that's how
Okay.
people think grief works. The way it actually works is the circle fills that white square, but the white square actually grows and gets bigger. So your grief never diminishes, but you grow as a result of it.
That's interesting.
The meme explains it a lot better because it's
Yeah.
it's just 4 squares in a picture, and I'm not as
Yeah.
eloquent as you, especially. But that's something that struck with me.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, you're right, and this is why it's hard to put yourself in someone else's situation, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's why when we talk in our podcast in particular, we just, you're always aware, aren't you, when you're talking particularly about trials, you're talking about how the family feel. And one thing that really annoys me just on trials is when the defendants show lack of respect. I've had that a lot recently where they've made gestures to the family or they've made nasty comments. And I just think sometimes, look, you've been found guilty now. Look, you tried to get away with it. You failed. Now you're here and the family are there. Just show a modicum of respect, please.
Yeah, I'm researching a case for my episode that comes out tomorrow, assuming you're listening to this on release day. And the guy was in court, clearly guilty. DNA recovered from the victim's body, her blood found in his van. And he still had the audacity not only to deny what had happened, but he claimed he was kidnapped himself, what he'd done, so projection, and that he was forced to sexually assault this teenage girl. All the while he's smiling in court. Can you imagine seeing that? Not even just as a family member, which is awful, but imagine seeing that as a member of the gallery or the jury.
Yeah.
It's
Outrageous.
hard to quantify evil that dark.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. Let's move on. Let's go from something so horrible to one of your favourite subjects in life, Stuart. Not your hair, other subjects. Let's talk some drugs, shall we? This time, you like a few drugs, don't you? To drug stories, I mean.
Stories. Thank you for quantifying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a bit of a segue story when we did the crime roundup, which is now the catch up. I keep getting the name wrong. Where British grandmother Lindsay Sandiford, who is 69, she was sentenced to death on the island of Bali in 2013 because she was found with nearly 5 kilograms of the white stuff. We have to be careful what we say, because this is going on YouTube. There's so many things we can't say. But yeah,
that's true.
the white stuff that's popular in the film Scarface, that stuff, and it was worth 1.6 mil in pounds, $2.1 million. She arrived in Bali on a flight from Thailand. So that was in 2012, a year before she was sentenced to death. And the laws over there in Indonesia are pretty strict, especially when it comes to these particular charges. But as of, I think it was earlier last week, Lindsay was repatriated. Is it repatriated or repatriated? You're more well-spoken than me.
Sent.
She was... Lindsay was sent, along with another British national, Shahab Shahabadi, who had been serving also a life sentence for drug smuggling. And I know when we were sort of doing this in our production meeting, you referenced these Australians, a couple of which were executed, this Bali 9. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was my podcast, it's nearly all UK, but there are some crimes that just stand out for you. And Bali's always stuck with me. So I went traveling between A-levels and university, and I went to Southeast Asia, and I was in Bali. I remember going to Bali, Kuta Beach back there, fantastic place. But then I heard a number of UK guys were in prison in Bali. So I went to the prison there, and this prison in Bali, you contrast with the paradise outside and this horrendous place crawling with cockroaches and other insects. Absolutely disgusting. I saw a young guy, probably a couple of years older than me. He'd been off his face the whole time. while he was in Bali. And as he was leaving, he just stuffed his pockets full of as much stuff as he possibly could, got caught at the airport, and he got a sentence. He didn't get sentenced to death, thank goodness. But, he was in prison. But some people do get sentenced to death in Bali, and the execution is horrendous. They're shot, aren't they? It's like
Firing
these
squad.
Australian guys. Yeah. They served, 20 years in Indonesian prisons?
Yep.
And then the two ringleaders face firing squad. And it's even worse than a firing squad. I think they don't know the date's going to happen. Then I think they're put on a boat to another island. And that's when they face the firing squad. And I think, as if I recall correctly, these men sang a song as the firing squad was happening. It's, for their families, again, it's just utterly horrendous.
You think of, I suppose, no way of taking another life, even if it's approved by the state, is humane.
Mm.
I don't know. Is firing squad one of the more humane ways, do you think? I think the reason they do it with so many people is so that, it sounds bizarre, but for the mental health of the shooters, they don't know which one of them has taken the fatal shot.
Okay.
I believe that's why they do it with a line of so many people.
I suppose they're very open out there. They're very open. They say that if you get caught with drugs, you will life in prison or you will be killed. I mean, we've discussed before, Stuart, we're not in favour of the death penalty in any way, shape or form. Although we have noticed with some of the cases recently in the UK that maybe public opinion might be shifting. You think of the guy in that horrendous murder in Southport, and you think of some of the others. We've certainly seen a shift there, but at the moment, I can't see it ever changing, can you, here in the UK?
I can't, but you've got to think, I bet if you looked at Bali's drug offence figures, I tell you what, I bet the law is a hell of a detriment, isn't it? It's a hell of a thing to dissuade you from doing something. Knowing how, and knowing, not it just being a threat, knowing that they'll carry it out.
Yep.
That'll be an interesting thing to check their stats.
I bet you don't hear many drugs cases in Dubai either, do you?
I doubt it. I highly
Saudi
doubt
Arabia, Singapore, all these places. Whereas here in the UK, is it just perception that we're weak on drugs in this country?
It's hard to say because it's just so prevalent. It's prevalent everywhere. There must be something in it for, and I don't want to speculate, I'll be a conspiracy guy because I'll get in trouble, but there must be something deeper than just being lax with it. Do you know what I mean? It must be so prevalent for a reason. On the surface, I'm not sure what that is yet.
I smell it everywhere I go now, don't you?
Oh, yeah. People do that stuff as if they're just having a normal cigarette.
Yeah.
They pass the other stuff around as if someone's offering you a glass of cola.
Yeah.
It's so common.
Was it like this? Was it like this 10 years ago or not?
Not in Huddersfield. Absolutely not. Never saw any of this. Absolute nightmare moving to the big city.
You move to Leeds and suddenly it's not just the home of global football. Yeah, absolutely. You get the whole lot, don't you?
It's a nightmare, honestly. I mean, speaking of a deer in the headlights, we're moving to our animals behaving badly segment to finish this catch-up news episode. I like my animal stories, as Adam knows. Normally they're in the deep blue sea, but sticking with the railway theme from our other episode, LNER, the incident on there, these are a couple of animal stories. The first one was in Glasgow Central railway station during rush hour recently, so about 10 to 6 in the evening, early evening. A swan, yeah, I said that right, a swan was found on the tracks, still alive, so don't worry, animal lovers.
Did it have a cone on its head or?
Not this time. No, it didn't.
No, okay, that's good.
But it did cause some disruption for around 4 hours. Imagine that. Busy day at the office trying to get home. There's a swan on the tracks. And Network Rail, ever the comedians, they posted on their socials a picture of what they called the culprit, which was the swan. And they shooed it out of harm's way. The bird was fine, so it wasn't a swan song.
Go on, tell us your cow story.
Similar thing. Passengers, this was in southwest Wales, a rural town. A lot of cows just started trotting along the platform one Sunday morning, quite recently. They just strayed onto the railway line, I assume, from a nearby farm or bit of land, and they had to be herded back via the platform by the staff.
Sure. What is your beef with cows?
Wow, that's terrible. That is terrible. They say that they're the dogs of the field, don't they? With
Oh, do
cows.
they?
I don't know. I was just thinking. Is it Anchorman 2 where he says that bats are the chicken of the sky?
I don't know, but you're milking this story, sure, aren't you?
Oh, come on now. This is absolutely outrageous. This is outrageous. What else have you got for us before we close these shenanigans?
Well, when you told me about cows earlier, I saw a sad story about a cow. It was in Brazil, of all places. There's an ex-professional footballer died. He was riding home about 2 a.m. on his motorbike,
Cow.
and you saw the CCTV, and he went straight into a herd of cows. Actually killed him.
Jeez, that is
And
crazy.
we heard about that on when we spoke. We were speaking to somebody else the other day, weren't we? From Audio Always, our podcast production company, and they were talking about how terrified they were. Cows. What's the expression when they all move together? What's the expression I'm looking for? Cows.
Move.
They're not
Is it-
trotting. They're not. They're not
herd?
galloping,
A
are
herd-
they? What are
herding?
they doing?
Stampeding.
Oh, stampeding
Ah,
cows.
okay.
Because every year there's 2 or 3 people are killed, aren't they, by stampeding cows?
The problem with cows is they are literally like dogs, like the sweetest things. The cow's eyes are just so loving and they're so friendly. You go on a walk, you go on a hike, they always come over and say hello. They're one of them animals that they don't appreciate how massive they are and how heavy they are. Do you know what I mean? If a cow falls over on you, you're done for. It's like running into a brick wall. It literally, they are massive. Exactly. Oh, but who would win in a train showdown, do you think? Swan or a cow? It's got to be Swan or the other.
Everything with you, Stuart, it always goes in one ear and out the other, doesn't it?
Wow. Okay. That's where we will leave it for today's episode.
Shall we promise no more crap jokes about animals next week?
Let's cut back on the puns going forward. If
Yeah,
you've got any
I think
thoughts
so.
on anything we have discussed or there's a topic you think is worth highlighting, would love to hear from you. Drop us a comment on YouTube. You can join our Facebook group and get involved. We've got new episodes every single week. There's 3 out right now. You've got this one, Anthony Hardy, a deep dive, and the LNER stabbings, which we've looked into as well. Make sure you're following us on Spotify, subscribed on YouTube, and that you've hit follow wherever you listen to your podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you enjoyed Adam and I chatting what we chat about when the bad puns, please leave us a quick rating or review. It really helps new listeners find the show, and it won't cost you a penny. Thanks for catching up with us. We'll see you next time for another True Crime Roundup.
Cheerio.